Well, I've been playing game back on some more of the charming stuff, and the game that I have been playing is called SteamWorld Heist 2. SteamWorld Heist 2. I am a. I have to preface this by saying I'm a huge SteamWorld fanatic for the IP. I just think it's a really good IP. It's got great character designs. It's actually one big universe with one big storyline of steam powered robots that start on an Earth like planet and kind of make their way across the universe, and other stuff happens along the way. So it actually is all set in the same universe. This game is the first SteamWorld Heist game I loved. I thought it was just technically sound. It's really fun. It's a solid way to do 2D tactical stuff. And you learn to get better as someone as someone playing a tactical game and juggling the characters, juggling your squad, making your way across these sort of 2D levels. The SteamWorld Heist 2 builds on almost every aspect of the first game. And I say almost because it doesn't drastically change the 2D, like the actual tactical part of it. That's still there. It kind of does some little tweaks and quality of life refinements, things like that. But what they've done with the rest of the game really makes it feel more open and welcoming, and as if it has a lot of depth in it. Real similar to how SteamWorld Dig 2 opened up the concept of SteamWorld Dig 1 to allow for a lot more things. So SteamWorld Heist 2 definitely feels much more open than first. When the first one was precise, everything was intentional. This game gives a lot more freedom to do things. Like we don't feel constricted like in a map. It's now this big open world where the first one was sort of point-to-point movement on the map to get to these 2D levels. This is now a whole world. You can adventure as much as you want and go around and kind of do the exploration aspect, which the first game didn't have any exploration. We now have an inventory that we can actually manage, a much more open inventory. And really, one of the best parts is that the characters are now buildable and tunable into what we want them to be. That, again, the first game, class-based, and your character was a linear build path. If they were a healer, they were always a healer, and then you may not end up using them very much. That's the kind of stuff that happened to me. This game gives you those base classes, those base abilities, and says this person will always heal, or for instance, another person will always have this teleportation ability. Another one can block attacks, or another person can return damage. You can now build on those base abilities with all these different jobs and classes. So my teleportation dude can still teleport, but now they also have the build of a heavy, so they can actually teleport to other parts of the stage that I've been to and use the heavy skills or the sniper skills and things like that. So it's really interesting from that standpoint, in that, again, I'll hit this replay button, in that, you have that base. You have the strong base of who this character is and what their personality is, but now you can really customize them to make them your type of build. This a lot like, it reminds me almost of Final Fantasy VI, because Final Fantasy VI, you had each character has their own whether you attack like Sabin, you can transform like Terra, you can do stuff, you can steal like Locke, but then you can build up all the rest of their skill sets and jobs using the summons, essentially, to become these maxed out characters with all these different skill sets, but now having that base. And that's what SteamWorld Heist 2 actually allows you to do. And that really opens up how I build and use my team when I'm playing all these different levels. So back to those levels, it's interesting. I love this world design. The stages are great. I kind of mentioned it in my preview back in June or July, whenever it was. You're no longer just in sort of this one style of an area. Yeah, it's still 2D platforming, but now everything's multi-tiered and multi-layered. So yeah, you go through, you clear out this level, but then you get a mid-boss in there. And then you have to do a rescue portion. And then you have to escape. But on your escape, there's also loot aspects. So it's not just go in, clear out a room, and leave, and then go to the next area on a world map. there are multiple things you can accomplish in these stages and multiple layers. That there's some even have like dialogue aspects to it and relationship building stuff, which is thrown in there. It just feels really sort of unique from a tactics game, and it turns these stages, I guess you could say, almost into levels. Like, you know, you go from a couple screen stage to a Mario like level, I guess is maybe the best way to say it. So there is much more to do in these areas, much more to explore, and I really like that aspect of it. Of course, the tactical side is still super strong. You're learning to aim, you're figuring out if you can ricochet stuff, and then some of the characters have the sight, some don't, some can bounce things, some can't, and you're learning that as you go along. And then you get to a point, you know, I think the game is like 30 hours, 25 to 30 hours long. By hour 10, you've sort of figured out the mechanical side of things, and by that time you've essentially picked up the majority of your characters, so you start to understand who is good at what and how to work their attacks and how to sort of juggle and stack a lot of that stuff. So yeah, tactical side still great, gameplay is still awesome, but it's really all the extra stuff that I like I said that I've really fallen in love with. The music is terrific. I think the band that the company uses to develop the audio for this is called Steam Powered. I think it's called Steam Powered Giraffe. Don't quote me on it. I'll have to look it up. But it's essentially their in-house band, and they do all the music for this. And you can't help but like actually crank the music up a little louder. I had it on the Steam. I've been playing mostly on the Steam Deck, and I rarely turn the volume up on the Steam Deck on games. But there's something about like robotic sea shanties that I think is really fun and really interesting, because the stories that they're singing, the stuff they're talking about, isn't about like pirates and dolphins and mermaids. It's about like robotic takes on those types of things. So it's actually fun lyrics and fun takes on the music. But yeah, all of that open stuff is so cool. There's the overworld is great. There's a fog of war that you can kind of see in the trailer there, but it entices you to keep adventuring and exploring. Like I said, the first game was sort of point to point. Like you go from one stop to the next, and you go in, you clear it out, and then you go to the next one. In this one, you can travel around the entire sort of Caribbean themed planet. By the way, there's multiple biomes. You didn't hear from me. And every time I would see a little bit of fog left over, I would want to clear it out. I want to get over there. I want to explore and find out what's there. And it's like, oh, wow, I found a new island. Or I find two of the game's factions are attacking each other, which is another cool thing, because the ship that you're kind of moving around on actually can engage in naval battles, and they're automated. So you have like guns on either side, and you have certain things that you can do, and you can upgrade the guns and different types of, torpedoes and things like that. But depending on how you're facing and how you're turning and how you're moving around, it really feels like those. I don't know if you've ever played the old Pirates games, but it really feels like sort of classic PC style naval battles thrown in with a little bit of like bullet hell in there, because you'll get into a situation where there'll be like several ships on screen, and there's just bullets flying everywhere, and you're doing your best to avoid them, and it can get chaotically fun. But yeah, that part feels almost like a whole separate game from the 2D stuff, and I love that aspect too. It's like you're not just getting this 2D game, you're also getting naval battles, you're also getting a bunch of other things, the relationship building. There's in this trailer, you can see a lot of the stars that are kind of floating there. Those are reputation stars. Depending on how good you are in certain areas, your reputation level goes up, and you can go back into levels, and let's say you didn't get the loot the first time around. You only got 2 of the 5 bags of loot. Well, you can go back in there and replay portions of that level and try to get that loot and get better stars and things like that. So I think that is always good to incorporate into a game. In the first game, didn't have that. I actually went back and played that first SteamWorld Heist, and as much as I loved it, the first times I've played it, like I reviewed it way back when it first launched, loved it. I reviewed it on a couple other platforms, loved it. I played it recently on the Switch and on the Steam Deck and on other platforms just to get ready for this. Still loved it. after playing this game, absolutely difficult to go back to that because of
Really?
just of how closed. I don't say not like it's not constricted in a bad way, but it's how linear it feels compared to this game.
It's like a prototype of this game.
It kind of feels like it's like it's building the base of what this game is. So yeah, SteamWorld Heist, the original, really is the backbone. It's the core of what they wanted to do, which was it feels like this is what the game that they wanted to do and really explore, and that was the proof of concept. And it still works great, mechanically sound, great visual design, but this is the actual like the thing that they've wanted to make all along. And I think it plays great. It's a lot of fun. There are some hindrances there, here and there, obviously, and like not every game is perfect. There are some aspects of having to wait for your characters to recharge in between battles, which I'm never the biggest fan of. But and it can get there are times where it can get kind of overly easy. So I did find myself like ratcheting up the difficulty level like a little bit. It's, even with like some bosses, I would jack it up. Like if the boss was being really kind of easy in certain areas, I just kind of felt like I was OP. So I found myself, after I cleared out a level, I just inch up that difficulty and try to make it more difficult for myself, I should say. And a lot of that is depending on who I had on my team. Like maybe I did focus on having more of a healer and a melee and a sniper as opposed to some of the other characters on the team. But there are a lot of characters. I think there's like I want to say 8 to 10 characters you can choose from and adjust all of them, and they all have their unique abilities. I really enjoyed it. Huge world. Surprised at how much they were able to fit in. I thought the first game had a lot, and this has double that. But I think it's double that because of all this really neat stuff they did with opening up the world and making it sort of this fun, more of an exploration. Really focusing on that pirate side, that Caribbean side of things, I think, is what really helps in the end. So yeah, SteamWorld Heist 2, definitely recommend it. It's not for everybody because not everybody loves these 2D tactic games, but to see sort of this genre, this lighthearted tactical genre perfected in the way that it is, I think is really a cool testament to what they were able to accomplish. I don't think you need to make another SteamWorld game. SteamWorld Heist game, because you've nailed it. But to everybody else, I'd definitely give it a shot.